What's up, everyone? My name is Alan, founder and consultant at For Now Marketing, and welcome to Braze for Technical Marketers. Today, we're going to talk about how to use content blocks in the drag and drop email builder. There are some interesting ways to use it. Let's get started. So, first, we're going to start by building some of these content blocks. Let's go to Templates, Content Blocks. And there are actually two types of content blocks we could build, and I don't have any yet, so what a great opportunity. We can create a drag and drop content block or an HTML content block. Let's actually start with drag and drop content block first. And I really wish that drag and drop content blocks were actually called content rows because it is very much on a row by row cases. So you can actually build a row and you can only build one row. You cannot have multi rows in the content block mode. But let's say in this row we have, I don't know, like a header, um, like welcome user, and then I can put the paragraph block under it within the same row. So this is one big row, and we'll say this is your welcome email, and maybe we'll put one more thing, like an image right under there. So then what this allows us to do is now we've built a content block row, and I'm gonna call it a content row. And we can go ahead and click done and launch the content block. Actually, it'll be called welcome user row, single column row. Okay, so that's there. And then let's actually go to build a uh, drag and drop email. Let's try to use that content block row or the content row. Let's go to email. We'll call it welcome user content blocks, drag and drop editor. And what we can do is we can insert that row that we just created here on the content block, the drag and drop content block, into this email. We can do that by going to rows, and then you can either create empty rows from scratch, or you can create select from your previously built content block rows. And this is why I think that it should be called content rows, because they even show up under the rows drop down. So, instead of acting truly as content like components or blocks, they really are serving as content rows. But I can go ahead and insert this, and then boom, we have the content row that we just built. The only downside of using drag and drop content rows is, let's say I went ahead and saved this email for now, and maybe a few months later we had a rebranding and a redesign, and we decided to change our content rows color to our company colors. um, Come on, company colors, and we went ahead and saved it. Now that save in the top level content row does not waterfall down to wherever we use the content block. And in fact, interestingly, it's not even showing up in the inclusion count, which I thought it should. Maybe I need to refresh the page, or it's also possible that I need to maybe launch this campaign. Um, or it's possible that drag and drop content blocks will just never show any inclusions because, once again, it's really not tied directly from this content block row to wherever I used it. Because once you insert a drag and drop content row, it's just a hard coded localized content now. You notice how the color did not change even though I changed it in the content row. However, if I wanted to insert that same content block row again, you can see that the color has been updated. So it is not a global change, it is a local change. Now, on the other hand, let's take a look at an HTML content block. So we're going to create a new content block, HTML, and let's just create something really simple. And this, I really do see it as individual content blocks, content components. You can have things as simple as um, a button, a paragraph, an image. A lot of things can be content blocks as long as it's globally, or as long as it's reusable, as long as you plan on reusing it and you find the convenience of globalizing it and changing it a single source. Um, let's see how my HTML skills are, but I'm pretty sure if I just create a button, I can get a button. Awesome. And then maybe I can just say click. I think it's a pretty small button. Okay, that's fine. But actually, so we can actually go ahead and use create this very, very simple content block, simple CTA, launch it. And what I'm going to do is now HTML content blocks cannot be referenced under the row dropdown. What we can do is we can actually use an HTML block. So let me go ahead and get rid of some images because we don't need all of these. And we're going to include the content block HTML code. So we're going to have to grab this content block liquid tag. And then this is going to be content block simple CTA. Now, the downside is that we can't see it from this edit mode. So we don't actually know what this looks like until we preview it. And then when we preview it, and you saw the content block ID get added, there's a content block. Click. That's fine. And the nice thing is that content blocks, with its original purpose, if I do end up updating the CTA here to, let's say, click me, and I click done and I launch it, the change does get implemented on this page right away, waterfall style. So it should get changed, and then you can see the click me is updated. So if you have a single CTA that's being used across, multiple campaigns and canvases, and maybe the link behind the button changed, maybe you want to change the CTA copy itself. An HTML content block might be the way to go, even if you're using the drag and drop builder. And what you might be able to do is first build the button that you want using drag and drop, style it the way you want, and you can actually grab this HTML of this drag and drop by downloading file, and you can find that button's HTML code, insert that into an HTML content block, and now you have the magic of both an easy design of drag and drop, but also the power of globalizing a content block CTA. One last thing I want to show us what we could do is we could actually assign a variable here. So CTA copy. And what we're going to do is, let's see, we're actually not going to give it a variable value here. So typically you would do assign CTA copy equals maybe click and then close it. And then now it's we've made the CTA copy a variable. So even if we preview, it should say click. However, if I put the assign code in here and then I try using it in here, the assign code is going to be kind of baked into this content block, meaning I can't really change it from the email's perspective. It's always going to kind of come with the button with the variable already set to CTA copy. So I'm not going to include it there. I'm going to go ahead and launch the updated content block with the variable in place. And it's okay that the variable is not defined in this content block, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the variable here. I'm going to drop in a paragraph. And then actually with every paragraph, I like to get away all padding and then maybe just delete that. So now I can actually control the copy of the CTA button that's going to show up when I preview here, up here at the top. So maybe for this email, it's like go to menu. Now let's say I preview it. It should say go to menu. Look at that. So that is the power of mix and match and implementing content blocks as well as Liquid to make your CTA buttons dynamic based on every campaign. And if maybe there is no value, we could give it a default value. So let's say we don't choose to customize a CTA copy. I believe what we could do is actually give it a default value. And default's not just for first names. You could put a default for all Liquid variables. So let's go ahead and launch that. And let's say we got rid of this go to menu. We just didn't have the CTA copy defined in here. If we preview it, it should say click. Is that what we had before? Yes, click, capital C. Or if we do want to customize it and want to put in go to menu, we have go to menu. Look at that. So that is how we use content blocks, HTML content blocks with Liquid in a very fun and dynamic way. And then you also went over how content rows or content block rows made in drag and drop works, and how those are a local insertion, local asset, not a global asset. That's it for today. Thank you for watching and see you next time.